Hello athletes, how are you all? Welcome to this video, and in today's video we'll learn how to improve endurance. But before we understand how to improve endurance, we first need to know what endurance actually means. If we search for the meaning of endurance on Google, we'll get this definition. Endurance means the ability to continue doing something painful and difficult for a long period of time without complaining. It means you have the ability to do something hard for a long time without complaining. Let's highlight 2 or 3 main things here. Doing something painful and difficult. That means we have to do a difficult task for a long time, and that too without complaining. These 3 things are the most important here. Now, it's not necessary that endurance is only used in sports. Endurance can be applied anywhere. For example, studying. If studying is hard for you, but still you continue doing it for a long time without complaining, then that too is a form of endurance. But because most of the subscribers on this channel are athletes, we'll talk about endurance from the perspective of athletes. So, since you're an athlete and you want to increase your endurance, let's first look at the types of endurance. Endurance is of 2 types. The first is cardiovascular endurance and the second is muscular endurance. So we have these 2 types of endurance. Now let's understand the difference between them. Cardiovascular endurance is related to your cardiovascular system, meaning how your heart pumps blood and how efficiently it works. It's related to that, and it's considered a more basic form of endurance, but it's also a bit more advanced. Cardiovascular endurance is more important for long distance running athletes because in this case, our muscles don't take much load. Instead, our cardiovascular system does more of the work. For example, slow running, cycling, or swimming. These kinds of activities like walking where we don't have to put in too much effort, but we still continue the activity for a long time. That's called cardiovascular endurance. But for us, it's not that important. The type of endurance that is more important for us is muscular endurance. To improve cardiovascular endurance, the best option is to do the activity in which you want to increase your endurance as much as possible. For example, a beginner athlete can't run for long periods, so they just have to practice running for longer periods. In this, what happens is that we start to breathe heavily, but in muscular endurance, our body's muscles start to fatigue quickly. That's the difference between the 2. Let's take an example of a sprint to understand this. For a long sprint, like 400, 800, or 1500 meters, in one case, we sprint at full effort, and towards the end, our muscles give out, so we can't complete it. That is one case. Another case is when our muscles are not tired, but we start breathing heavily. So the issue of heavy breathing is due to lack of cardiovascular endurance. And when lactic acid builds up in the muscles and they start to feel heavy, that's due to lack of muscular endurance. In today's video, we won't talk much about cardiovascular endurance. We'll focus more on muscular endurance in detail, because in my opinion, this will be more beneficial for most of the subscribers. Now, muscular endurance, we can divide it into 4 parts, and then we'll look at each part in detail. Now, this classification I've done, it's not written anywhere officially, meaning it's not mentioned in any source. I've divided it into 4 parts just to help you understand. Muscular endurance can be of the type called strength endurance. Another type is power endurance. One is speed endurance. And the last one, it's not written anywhere, but I believe this type also exists, is technique endurance. Now, in all 4 types of endurance, our muscles are involved. Strength endurance means how long we can use our strength. Similarly, power endurance means how long we can use our power. Speed endurance means how long we can maintain our speed, how long we can hold on to our top speed. That's speed endurance. And technique endurance means how long we can maintain our technique. Now, strength and power endurance, we'll look at them together because there's not much difference between them apart from the exercises. For strength endurance, let's take an example. Whenever we measure our endurance, we always have to choose one consistent parameter. Like for strength endurance, suppose we take a test where you have to do half squats with 40 kilogram weight and perform maximum repetitions. So let's say you did 40 kilograms half squats and managed to do 50 reps. This is one way to measure your strength endurance because squats are a strength exercise, and the duration for which you can continue doing this strength exercise defines your strength endurance. This is just one example, not the only way to measure strength endurance, but you can use it to understand your current level. Now for power endurance, we can take another test, and that's the clean test. In this, you have to perform cleans from the hang position. Again, you can use a light or medium weight, like 40 kilograms, and perform maximum reps. Let's say you did 20 reps. That would be a measure of your power endurance. Similarly, if we want to check our speed endurance, you can do something like this. Take your 200-meter sprint time and your 100-meter sprint time. Your 200-meter time should be no more than double your 100-meter time, preferably less. For example, if your 100-meter time is 12 seconds, then your 200-meter time should be 24 seconds. If it is 24, then it means your speed endurance is quite good. But if it's 26 or 27 seconds, then it means your speed endurance is poor. So this is one way to measure speed endurance. Now, what does technique endurance mean? It means how long we can maintain our technique. For example, if you're doing 200 meters repeats, your technique is good at the start, but by the end, your form breaks down. Or if you do long jumps, you perform the first 6 or 7 jumps well, but the 8th and 9th jumps have poor technique. If an athlete does hurdles, he crosses the first 6 or 7 hurdles well, but the last 2 or 3 hurdles are not so clean. That's because of technique endurance. But technique endurance also depends a lot on your speed, strength, and power endurance. If you don't have strength endurance, power endurance, or speed endurance, then you won't have technique endurance either. Because obviously, in the final moments, if your muscles are already fatigued and can't generate enough force, then you won't be able to maintain good technique. So now what can we do to improve our strength, power, and speed endurance? To improve them, we need to focus on one key thing, and that is progressive overload. Now, what is progressive overload? Let's understand that. It means that in our workouts or training sessions, we gradually increase the load. Let's look at an example of strength endurance. Suppose in the first week, we did 20 squats with 40 kilograms, and we did 5 sets of this. So this was our first week's workout, 20 reps with 40 kilogram, 5 sets. Now in the second week, we again used 40 kilograms, but did 25 squats and reduced the sets to 4. Then in the third week, we did 30 squats with 40 kilogram and brought the sets down to 3. In the fourth week, we did squats again with 40 kilograms, this time for 35 reps and only 2 sets. So this is just a sample workout I'm sharing to show how training like this affects our endurance. Endurance basically means how long can we keep doing one thing without giving up. Like let's say there's an athlete whose 400 meters time is 50 seconds. That 400 meter run is a good way to test endurance. But if the same athlete has a 200 meter personal best of 22 seconds, does that mean we can just add 22 plus 22 and say his 400 meter time is 44 seconds? No, right? You can't calculate 400 meter endurance like that. You have to check how long someone can push themselves in a single go, not with breaks in between. How long we can keep putting in effort in one shot, that's what endurance is. So in the first session, we did 20 squats for 5 sets, total 100 squats. In the next session, 25 squats for 4 sets, again, 100 squats. Then 30 squats for 3 sets, 90 squats. Then 35 squats for 2 sets, 70 squats. So you can see how the workout volume is gradually going down from 100 to 90 to 70. But the number of reps we're doing in one go is increasing. 20, 25, 30, 35. This is how our endurance starts improving. Even though in both the first and second weeks, we're doing 100 total squats. In the second one, we're doing more squats in a single set, which means we're using more endurance. When you start this kind of workout, the first set might feel tough, second will feel tougher, third and fourth might feel almost like hell. But slowly, your body starts adapting to this effort. It gets used to handling more reps. The key point is, in this type of workout, you only need to increase one thing at a time. Don't increase everything together. If you're increasing reps, then slightly reduce the number of sets so that you can focus more on pushing those reps. The same thing applies if you're training for power endurance. For example, you could design a broad jumps workout where in the first session, you jump continuously for 20 meters. In the next session, you go for 40 meters. Then, in the next one, you do 60 meters in a single go. This way, every week, you're adding a bit more load on your body, and that's how endurance improves. To build endurance, the most important thing is progressive overload, pushing yourself to do what feels tough and trying to handle it for longer and longer. Remember that definition we talked about earlier? Endurance means something difficult for a long time without complaining, and that no complaining part is the most important for endurance. If you really want to improve it, there's just one thing you need to do. Take something tough and do it for as long as you can without complaining. Like in this sample workout, doing 35 reps with 40 kilograms. Let's say we have 3 to 4 athletes doing it. One of them is mentally super determined, even though by the 25th rep, his legs are shaking, he somehow finishes all 35 reps. Then another athlete's legs barely feel tired, but mentally, he just gives up. I don't feel like it anymore. My legs hurt. That's not how endurance improves. Endurance doesn't grow just from your body. It grows from your mind. If you're mentally strong and able to keep going longer, your endurance will definitely improve. Just make sure that every week you're adding a little more load in at least one exercise. The main problem is we often don't know how much load to add. When we plan the workout in the beginning, like this one, that's where we go wrong, because during the planning phase, we're usually super motivated. We're like, now I'm going to train so hard, I'll see massive improvement. And in that excitement, we make mistakes. We start with something like 20 reps by 5 sets, then move to 25 reps at 6 sets, then 30 reps at 7 sets, and then 35 reps at 8 sets. We keep increasing everything. First 1 to 2 weeks go fine, but by the 3rd or 4th, we're completely burnt out, maybe even injured. We get demotivated too, because we had set unrealistic goals. That's why this planning part is so important. You have to be thoughtful and practical while designing your workouts. And yes, planning can get tricky. It's not easy to understand everything right away, which is why working with a coach is usually a better option. The coach does all this work for you, and you just have to give your best in each session.